Guys, I'm here at the Panasonic exhibit with Greg, and what's interesting to me as I wandered by is this camera, a 4K camcorder in the consumer division. Can you tell us about the HC-X1000, Greg?
It's a pretty amazing piece. What's exciting about it, it is come out of our consumer group, and as you can see here, it has your traditional camcorder, run and gun type of setup. Got the screen here. I've also got the eyepiece in the back, and this camcorder, even though it comes from the consumer end, was like the first in that end of the business. It would do 4K at 60 frames per second. So we're talking the full spec 4K, 60 frames per second, and we'll encode up to 100 megabit per second. Now, if you want to go 1080p, we still support that old stuff, and it'll encode at 200 megabit at 1080p. So really exciting. We have twin SD cards here, so I can do serial recording. So I'm about to fill one card up, and it'll just transition right into the next one. I can hot swap them out. I have XLR inputs in for audio. We have individual audio control. Yes.
Okay.
Had to think about that for a second. You caught me off guard. And then as a camcorder, using a Leica lens in the front, we also have the ability with a built-in neutral density filter to be able to adjust for lighting conditions. So try to put all the things that you would need, at a high level into that, like you said, consumer in camera to give you that, pro type of, shooting feel out in the field.
It's interesting, guys, because when I sit here or stand here and put it on, this would look familiar to any videographer because this is the kind of manual of arms of professional cameras as well. And with the form factor, with the eyepiece at the rear, that's something that the Cinema EOS line, especially the C100 and C300 have done, and now Sony with the FS5, same thing. On the other hand, this grip feels great. It fits exactly to my hand, and I don't have to hunt around for it. It's a very light camera, so Greg, congratulations on that.
Thanks.
But I guess there are a couple of things that it doesn't do either. It is an 8-bit 420 recording.
We like to think that is good.
A good thing. It's a good thing. It's the right compromise for many people between storage and image quality.
Exactly.
Okay. Also, 60 frames per second is the upper limit. It doesn't do true slow motion, so no 96, 120, whatever.
Correct.
But I'm really interested in this because it's very light. It really feels like a shrunken DVX100 in 4K. And I say that having had a DVX, back in the pre-Babylonian days.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that, Greg.
Appreciate you stopping by and talking about it.
My pleasure. Good luck with it.
Well, thank you very much.
All right. Okay, guys, we got more to see here, so we're going to shift over to the GX8. This way. Well, Greg, we've in all the time that we've been off camera, we've moved about, what, 2.5 feet?
About that far, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but for good purpose, we have the GX8 in the hand. Now, as a Sony fan, I find this very similar to the Sony a6000, which is a good thing, but it also has very nice analog dials, which I really, really like. And it feels very, very comfortable in hand, so kudos to you for that.
Thanks.
The thing that's also really interesting to me is that it's got a viewfinder which actually can rotate up. So why don't you talk to us about this camera?
Well, the GX8 is the newest camera in our G series lineup. And what's really exciting about it is it's the first camera that we've released that has in-body stabilization that will work with the stabilization in our lenses. So you're getting dual image stabilization using the 5-axis in the body along with the power OIS that we have in a lot of our lenses. So that makes it really nice. So I can shoot long range, I can shoot in darker scenarios with this and not have to worry about shake in the image. Now this is also the first Micro Four Thirds camera that's been released that has upped the ante in terms of resolution to 20 megapixel. So we've gone from the traditional 16 where we've been sitting for a while and now bumped it up to that level. And also it's a 4K capable unit as well. Panasonic has been migrating to 4K very quickly, starting with the GH4, and we've seen everything from our G series to our compacts to even our bridge cameras being able to shoot video at 4K, 24, 30 frames per second, and we also have, because of that, incorporated our 4K photo mode, which allows you to shoot 8.3 megapixel images, which you can print out about 12 by 18. I mean, that's nice size print.
Oh, absolutely.
But I'm being able to capture up to 30 frames per second, basically as long as I hold down the shutter button, which is amazing. And then I go back, whether I shoot 1 second, 10 seconds, 20 minutes, and can go frame by frame to find the absolute perfect moment, and then tell the camera, yes, save that as an image, and it saves it as a JPEG, which I can then take and print.
That
First
sounds,
in the industry.
That sounds great. It also sounds like I need to get more RAID arrays. Okay, now this records 4K internally, 8-bit 422, not 420.
Correct, on the output side. So yes, so we step it up a little bit there, very similar to what we did with our GH4. So if you're shooting to an outside recorder, this is a great way to get into 4K. It's not ridiculously expensive. We're looking at about $1,100, $1,200 for the body, and of course it works with any of the Micro Four Thirds lenses that we have out there. And of course I think Micro Four Thirds has about 90 native lenses.
There ought to be enough there.
Yeah, plus of course being no mirror box, it's adaptable to just about anything that ever existed. So there's a lot that you can do with it. In fact, one of the cool things that we've started showing here in the booth is the GH4 has been updated to support anamorphic lenses.
Interesting.
So you can shoot a 2-to-1 compression anamorphic at 1.33 and have a 2.66-to-1 to work with in post. Wow. Which very much matches what they were doing out in Hollywood with anamorphic.
Karen Gottschalk, this is for you. All right, well this is really interesting. I like the way it feels in the hand. It's light. The ergos are really terrific. I love the fact that you can rotate that viewfinder 90 degrees, isn't it?
Full 90, and we can still rotate the screen as well. Everything is, touch base. I can even frame my shot in the eyepiece while picking my focal, point.
Touch focus.
Yes.
Very nice.
And then I can also release the shutter at the same time if I want to do that as well.
Very, very nice.
So we're definitely stepping it up at Panasonic. We see the future. We see the future is 4K. We see, smaller, more compact bodies that are, flexible. And if you're an old-time shooter, you're used to that heavier camcorder, or a more experienced shooter, let's put it in terms that you like better.
Yeah, thanks.
More mature. I'm just not showing my gray today. But the nice thing is that the biggest thing that we've heard here recently is, we're coming to Panasonic because we hear you guys are great, but not only that, I'm tired of walking around like this, where you're carrying all this equipment. These are very small, potent packages to accomplish lots of things in the field. And you know what? You're still refreshed and excited to go out after a day of shooting because you haven't worn yourself out.
Okay, you just stepped over the line. I'm exhausted and we're working with an iPhone over here.
Yeah, I was going to talk to you about that. Yeah. We're talking high-end, you're using an iPhone.
And it works. Isn't that interesting? And in fact, isn't what you're doing with these a mirror of what Apple and Samsung and others are doing with these smartphones? They're figuring out, as you are, what the sweet spot is, and saying, we don't need all of this, we can get rid of all of this, and you, the consumer, benefit.
And here it is.
Greg, thank you so much.
Thanks for stopping by and talking with us. We really enjoyed it.
Our pleasure. Guys, let's go.